A dusty piano in the corner of a high-end restaurant, a lanky dishwasher with calloused hands, the whispers that follow him from table to kitchen, something about his eyes, too old for his face, too knowing. The maître d' watches him suspiciously. Tonight, everything changes. But not everyone will be ready for what he's been hiding behind those quiet hands. Before we dive into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from. The sky outside the Pentagon conference room was a brilliant blue. Inside, General Rodriguez scanned the room filled with America's intelligence elite, 12 officials in crisp suits, each clutching tablets and classified folders. "Looks like we're missing someone," Rodriguez said. A woman with steel-gray hair glanced at her watch. "Dr. Chen is never late." As if summoned, the door swung open. Marcus Chen shuffled in, wearing a rumpled button-down tucked hastily into khakis. His thick-rimmed glasses sat crooked on his face. Loose papers poked from his messenger bag. "Sorry," he mumbled, dropping his security badge twice before managing to hang it around his neck. The metro was, "Take a seat, Dr. Chen," Rodriguez interrupted. "We've delayed enough." Marcus nodded, accidentally knocking his water glass as he settled. The spill spread across the polished table. Several officials shifted away with annoyed sighs. "As I was saying," Rodriguez continued after an aide mopped up, "Operation Clearwater represents the most significant intelligence breakthrough in decades." Everyone straightened, except Marcus, who fumbled with his tablet, struggling to find the presentation. "Given the sensitivity," Rodriguez said, "we need a risk assessment from each department, starting with cryptologic systems." A man with a military haircut and penetrating eyes leaned forward. "Colonel James Blackwood, sir. My team analyzed potential vulnerabilities. We are confident the encryption is impenetrable." Marcus raised his hand hesitantly. "Yes, Dr. Chen?" Rodriguez's tone carried thinly veiled impatience. I noticed something in the algorithm. Possibly a..." Blackwood cut in smoothly. "Dr. Chen's department handles theoretical applications, not operational security." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I assure you my team has vetted every line of code." Marcus shrank back as Blackwood continued his presentation, filled with technical jargon that drew approving nods around the table. "Thank you, Colonel." Rodriguez turned to a woman with a severe bun. "Director Patel, your assessment?" "While innovative, the timeline seems rushed. I recommend delaying deployment by 6 months." Blackwood's jaw tightened. "With respect, Director, every day we wait puts operations at risk." For 15 minutes the debate continued, while Marcus sat silently, scribbling notes. "Dr. Chen," Rodriguez finally said, "you've been unusually quiet. Your division's report was..." He glanced at his tablet. "Inconclusive." All eyes turned to Marcus, who cleared his throat. "I have some concerns about..." "Theoretical concerns," Blackwood interjected, "which we've addressed extensively." Marcus hesitated. "It's more than theoretical." "Then, explain," Rodriguez challenged. "Well, Marcus's explanation meandered through technical details, his voice growing softer as Blackwood's expression darkened. Rodriguez checked his watch. "Dr. Chen, is there a point to this?" "Yes, sir, Marcus dropped his pen, which rolled across the table. Blackwood sighed loudly. "General, Dr. Chen makes brilliant theoretical contributions, but operational security isn't his strength." "Perhaps we should..." "I think I've heard enough," Rodriguez interrupted. "Unless you have concrete evidence, Dr. Chen, I'm inclined to proceed with Colonel Blackwood's recommendation." Marcus looked down at his scattered notes. "No concrete evidence, sir." "Then we'll reconvene tomorrow for final authorization." Dismissed. As everyone gathered their materials, Blackwood approached Marcus. "No hard feelings, Chen. Stick to your algorithms and leave field operations to the professionals." Marcus nodded, watching him leave with his entourage of analysts. Director Patel paused at the door. "You okay, Chen?" "Fine," he mumbled. "Just fine." After everyone left, Marcus remained at the table staring at his tablet. His shoulders slumped as he pulled out a small notebook filled with handwritten equations. "They never listen," he whispered to the empty room. The Pentagon cafeteria bustled with activity as Marcus carried his tray to an empty corner table. He'd barely touched his food when shadows fell across his table. "Mind if we join you?" Colonel Blackwood asked, flanked by 2 junior officers. "Of course not," Marcus said, hastily clearing space. Blackwood sat directly across from him. "I wanted to discuss your concerns privately. No need for drama in the briefing room." "I appreciate that," Marcus said. "Explain your issue with the encryption. Pretend I'm not an expert." Blackwood smiled thinly. "Use small words." The junior officers snickered. Marcus adjusted his glasses. "The algorithm relies on quantum-resistant structures, but I noticed a pattern in the key generation that suggests—" "A pattern?" Blackwood leaned back. "You're basing your objection on a pattern you think you saw?" "It's not just a pattern. The initialization vector—" "Dr. Chen," Blackwood interrupted, "do you know how many field operations I've overseen?" 57. All successful." He tapped the table. "How many have you overseen?" "None, but—" "None." Blackwood nodded to his officers. "Dr. Chen has 0 field experience, but wants to delay a critical national security operation because he spotted a pattern." People at nearby tables were turning to watch. "Colonel, I'm not questioning your experience," Marcus said quietly. "But the mathematics—" "The mathematics," Blackwood repeated mockingly. "Tell me, does your theoretical math account for our agents who'll be exposed if we delay? Does it calculate—" "The human cost?" Marcus flushed. "That's not fair." "Life isn't fair, Dr. Chen." Blackwood stood. "Some of us make hard decisions while others hide behind equations and theories." As they walked away, Marcus heard one of the officers mutter, "Academic types. All brains, no backbone." Marcus abandoned his lunch, feeling the stares of everyone who'd witnessed his humiliation. The next morning, Marcus arrived early to the final authorization meeting. He arranged his notes meticulously, hoping to make a better impression. General Rodriguez entered with the senior staff, followed by Blackwood, who shot Marcus a warning glance. "Before we begin," Rodriguez announced, "I've invited NSA Director Walsh to join us." An older man with shrewd eyes nodded from the doorway. "Given the significance of Clearwater, we want the highest level of scrutiny." Marcus felt his throat tighten. The NSA director was a legend in intelligence circles. "Let's start with outstanding concerns," Rodriguez said. "Dr. Chen, I understand you still have reservations?" Marcus hadn't expected to go first. "Yes, sir. I've been reviewing the encryption protocol and—" "Is this the same theoretical issue from yesterday?" Blackwood interrupted. "No, well, yes, but I've done more analysis." "General," Blackwood said, "we've thoroughly vetted the protocol. Dr. Chen's concerns aren't based on operational realities." Director Walsh raised an eyebrow. "I'd like to hear Dr. Chen's assessment." Marcus took a deep breath. "The quantum-resistant algorithm uses a key generation method that shows periodic vulnerability at specific intervals. I believe this could create exploitable windows." "Exploitable how?" Walsh asked. "With sufficient computing power?" Blackwood laughed. "Sufficient computing power? We're talking about theoretical quantum computers that don't exist outside laboratories." "Colonel," Walsh cautioned, "let him finish." "The vulnerability occurs at approximately 16.7-hour intervals," Marcus continued. "During these windows, the key strength drops by nearly 60%. "And your evidence?" Walsh asked. Marcus opened his tablet. "I've run simulations that demonstrate—" "Simulations," Blackwood scoffed. "Meanwhile, real agents with real lives are waiting on this authorization." "Colonel Blackwood," Rodriguez warned. "Sir, with respect," Blackwood said, "Dr. Chen has never seen combat, never worked in the field. He spent his career in air-conditioned offices solving puzzles." Several officials nodded in agreement. "Dr. Chen," Walsh said gently, "these are serious allegations against tried technology." "I know, sir," Marcus said. "That's why I ran the simulation 7 different ways." Blackwood stood suddenly. "This is absurd. Dr. Chen lacks the clearance to even understand the full implementation." "That's not true," Marcus protested. "I have top-secret CI—" "You have clearance on paper," Blackwood snapped, "but you lack the operational context." The room grew tense. Marcus felt sweat beading on his forehead. "Perhaps," Rodriguez suggested, "Dr. Chen could demonstrate his concerns concretely." Gladly, Blackwood challenged. Show us, Dr. Chen, right now. Prove this vulnerability exists. All eyes turned to Marcus. His hands trembled slightly as he reached for his tablet. I can't run a full demonstration without access to the operational system, he admitted. Blackwood smiled triumphantly. As I thought. Theoretical concerns from a theoretical mind. We have the test system here, Walsh said unexpectedly. Let's see this vulnerability. Blackwood's smile faltered. Director, with all due respect, field testing protocols are essential before deployment, Walsh finished firmly. Dr. Chen, you have 30 minutes to demonstrate your concerns. Colonel Blackwood, please provide access to the test environment. Blackwood's face darkened, but he nodded to an aide who set up a secure terminal. 30 minutes, Rodriguez confirmed, checking his watch. Starting now. Marcus wiped his palms on his pants and approached the terminal. His fingers hesitated over the keyboard. Problem, Dr. Chen? Blackwood asked loudly. Marcus adjusted his glasses and began typing. The room fell silent except for the rapid click of keys. Lines of code filled the screen as Marcus navigated through the system's architecture. After 10 minutes, he had accessed the encryption module. After 15, he had isolated the key generation sequence. His fingers moved with increasing confidence, no longer the fumbling academic, but something else entirely, precise, methodical, almost musical in their rhythm. Director Walsh leaned forward, watching with growing interest. At 20 minutes, Marcus paused. I need to initiate a key rotation cycle. That requires authorization, Blackwood objected. Granted, Walsh said immediately. Marcus resumed typing, his posture transformed. Gone was the slouching, uncertain man from earlier meetings. His back was straight, eyes focused, hands moving with practiced efficiency. There, he said at 28 minutes. Watch the key strength indicator during this rotation. The screen displayed a graph with a steadily decreasing line. That's normal during rotation, Blackwood dismissed. Wait, Marcus said. The line continued. Downward, then plummeted dramatically before stabilizing at a much lower level. What just happened? Rodriguez demanded. Key degradation during the vulnerability window, Marcus explained. Now watch this. He opened another window and typed a series of commands. Within seconds, he had access to supposedly encrypted files. I just broke into the system using standard computing resources, Marcus said quietly. No quantum computer needed. Silence fell over the room. Blackwood stared at the screen, his face pale. How long have you known about this? Walsh asked. I noticed the pattern 3 days ago when reviewing the implementation specs, Marcus replied. And you tried to tell us yesterday, Rodriguez realized. Marcus nodded. The vulnerability repeats every 16.7 hours. If deployed, it would have exposed all communications during those windows. That's impossible, Blackwood whispered. My team tested extensively. Your team tested according to standard protocols, Marcus said. This vulnerability only appears when specific conditions align. Walsh turned to Rodriguez. General, I recommend immediate suspension of Operation Clearwater pending a complete redesign of the encryption mechanism. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Agreed. Dr. Chen, can you lead that redesign? Before Marcus could answer, Blackwood slammed his fist on the table. This is outrageous. One demonstration doesn't invalidate years of development. Colonel, Walsh said icily, the evidence is on the screen. Dr. Chen just prevented what could have been the worst intelligence disaster since Snowden. Blackwood's face flushed crimson. He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. His hands trembled as he gathered his materials. This discussion isn't over, he muttered before storming out. Marcus stood awkwardly at the terminal, suddenly aware of everyone staring at him. Dr. Chen, Walsh said, rising from his seat. Where did you learn to code like that? MIT, Marcus replied, and then some private work for certain agencies. Walsh's eyebrows rose. Which agencies? Marcus glanced at Rodriguez, who nodded slightly. DARPA, initially, Marcus said. Then a joint NSA-CIA project called Obsidian Shield. The room grew perfectly still. Obsidian Shield was classified above top secret, Walsh said carefully. Only 12 people were cleared for that program. 11, Marcus corrected. Project lead Dr. Eleanor Wright died 2 years ago. Walsh studied him intently. You were on Obsidian Shield. Marcus nodded. I designed the core algorithm, under a different name. Recognition dawned in Walsh's eyes. You're Phoenix, several officials gasped. Director Patel dropped her pen. Phoenix was a legend, someone whispered. The hacker who created the unbreakable code. Marcus adjusted his glasses uncomfortably. The code wasn't unbreakable, that's my point. Walsh turned to Rodriguez. General, I believe we've been underutilizing Dr. Chen's talents. Rodriguez nodded slowly. It appears so. He looked at Marcus with new respect. Why didn't you tell us who you were? Marcus shrugged. Phoenix was supposed to remain anonymous, for security reasons, and the clumsy academic act, Patel asked. Not entirely an act, Marcus admitted. I am clumsy, and I hate confrontation. He gestured to the terminal. But I know systems. Walsh extended his hand. Dr. Chen, or should I say Phoenix, the NSA would like to offer you a new position, effective immediately. Marcus blinked in. Surprise. What position? Chief of Cryptologic Security, Walsh replied, with direct reporting to me. The same officials who had dismissed him earlier now looked at Marcus with awe and a touch of fear. I'd need thinking time, Marcus said. Of course, Walsh agreed. But first, I believe you have an encryption system to fix. Marcus nodded and turned back to the terminal. His fingers resumed their dance across the keyboard, no longer hiding what they could do. 3 hours later, Marcus sat alone in the conference room, still working. The door opened and Director Patel entered with 2 cups of coffee. Thought you could use this, she said, placing one beside him. Thanks. Marcus rubbed his eyes. I've isolated the vulnerability. The fix isn't complicated, but implementing it properly will take time. Patel sat beside him. You really are Phoenix, it wasn't a question, Marcus nodded. Why the disguise? The bumbling scientist routine? Marcus sighed. After Obsidian Shield, I wanted anonymity. The Pentagon offered me a position evaluating systems without revealing my background. He shrugged. People underestimate you when they think you're harmless. Like Blackwood did. Blackwood isn't a bad person, Marcus said, just overconfident. He humiliated you publicly 3 times. He was protecting his team, his mission. Marcus typed another line of code. Besides, I'm used to it. Patel studied him. You shouldn't be. Not with your abilities. Marcus paused his typing. Do you know why I developed the Phoenix algorithm? To see. Protect communications. To protect people, he corrected. Field agents, sources, operatives, people whose lives depend on secure channels. He resumed typing. Blackwood was right about one thing. The human cost matters most. Is that why? You pushed so hard about the vulnerability. Marcus nodded. If Clearwater deployed with that flaw, people would die. Patel sipped her coffee thoughtfully. What will you do about Walsh's offer? I don't know, Marcus admitted. I never wanted the spotlight. The mysterious Phoenix, afraid of attention, Patel mused. You realize you're a legend in intelligence circles? Marcus laughed softly. Legends make terrible committee members. Did you see me yesterday? I couldn't even explain myself properly. You explained yourself perfectly today. When it mattered. Marcus considered this. Maybe. The NSA needs you, Patel said. Not Phoenix the legend, but Marcus Chen, the man who cares enough to be right when everyone else is wrong. Marcus continued typing for several minutes. Finally, he said, I'll think about it. Good. Patel stood to leave. By the way, Blackwood's been reassigned, effective immediately. That wasn't necessary, Marcus frowned. It wasn't punishment, Patel clarified. He requested it, said if he couldn't spot a vulnerability that obvious, he needed more training. Marcus looked surprised. That's unusually humble. Even legends can learn, Patel said with a smile. Just like bumbling scientists can save the day. After she left, Marcus stared at his reflection in the monitor. The same face that had been dismissed and mocked now carried the weight of a revealed identity. Phoenix had emerged from hiding. Now Marcus needed to decide what that meant. 6 months later, Marcus Chen stood at a podium in NSA headquarters addressing 200 intelligence professionals. His suit was perfectly tailored, his posture confident. The Quantum Shield initiative represents a fundamental shift in our encryption methodology, he explained, navigating through slides with ease. By implementing dynamic key rotation at irregular intervals, we've eliminated predictable vulnerability windows. In the front row, Director Walsh nodded approvingly. Beside him sat General Rodriguez and Director Patel. Questions? Marcus asked after concluding his presentation. A young analyst raised her hand. Dr. Chen, will these protocols be extended to field communications? Absolutely, Marcus replied. In fact, field implementation is our priority. The updates have already been deployed to 12 critical missions. Another hand rose. Colonel Blackwood, now assigned to the Cryptologic Training Division. Dr. Chen, he said, impressive work. But how do we ensure the human element doesn't compromise these protections? 6 months ago, Marcus might have interpreted this as an attack. Now he recognized genuine concern. Excellent question, Colonel, he responded. We've developed new training modules specifically addressing that concern. Perhaps your division could review them before deployment? Blackwood nodded, a respectful acknowledgement between professionals. After the presentation, Marcus chatted easily with senior officials who once dismissed him. No longer did he drop papers or spill water. The transformation wasn't just in how others perceived him, but in how he carried himself. Quite a change, Patel commented, joining him as the crowd dispersed. Evolution, Marcus corrected. I'm still the same person who notices patterns, but now everyone else notices you, she observed. Marcus smiled. Not entirely comfortable yet, but necessary. Chief of Cryptologic Security suits you, Patel said, though I miss watching you fumble with your security badge. I still do that occasionally, Marcus admitted. Old habits, Walsh approached them. Phoenix lives up to the legend. Just doing my job, Director, Marcus replied. Your new encryption protocol saved lives last week, Walsh said quietly. That operation in Tehran would have been compromised otherwise. Marcus nodded solemnly. That's what matters. As they walked toward the exit, Marcus noticed a young analyst struggling with a stack of files. Papers scattered across the floor as colleagues walked past, ignoring her predicament. Excuse me, Marcus said to Walsh and Patel before kneeling to help gather the documents. Thank you, the analyst said, clearly embarrassed. I'm still learning my way around. Everyone starts somewhere, Marcus replied, handing her the organized files. I'm Marcus Chen. Her eyes widened. Dr. Chen, I just attended your presentation. It was brilliant. What's your name? Sarah Kimura. I transferred from Quantico last month. Cryptanalysis? She nodded. Still getting up to speed. Marcus handed her his card. If you have questions, my door is open. We all need someone who listens. As Sarah walked away, Walsh gave Marcus an approving look. That's why I wanted you for this position. You remember what it's like to be underestimated. Marcus watched. The young analyst disappeared down the hallway. Some talents shouldn't stay hidden, not when they can make a difference. The Phoenix had risen, not in flames of revenge, but in quiet competence that changed systems and people from within. Sometimes the most powerful forces work in silence, reshaping worlds unseen until the moment they reveal themselves. The expert hiding behind uncertain eyes, the genius mistaken for mediocrity. We miss what's valuable when we judge by appearances, and in that blindness, we lose what might have saved us all.